Well, hello there everyone. You've tuned in uxwbill. I just got through watching a video from fellow YouTuber V Westlife, who I have been following almost since I started my career on YouTube. That's almost been a decade ago. He just uploaded a video not too long ago, relative to the date when this video was uploaded, discussing calculators with fake solar cells. I can't even begin to tell you why that grabbed a hold of my interest in the way that it did, other than to say that it lit a fire under me, and it certainly did. It got me to thinking, maybe I should go through my own stash of calculators and see how many, if any, of those have fake solar cells. I really can't tell you anything in this video that he didn't already do an excellent job of discussing, but it should be interesting to see how my results change the average of things. So I guess you could say that's what I'm contributing and bringing to the table here. But first, I've got to find some calculators. Oh, calculators! I could have sworn I heard a calculator in here. Calculators? Nope, no calculators. I don't think there'd be any calculators in here. Nope. Nope, no calculators. Calculators? Nope, can't say as I've seen any calculators up here. Have you seen any calculators, Pumpkin? You know, so far it seems like this video is getting off to a really poor start. Try as I might, I haven't been able to scare up any calculators out of hiding. Maybe they're all camera shy. Or maybe they realize this is another one of my harebrained ideas from which they should do their level best to stay away. Fortunately, I am one of those people who very much believes that when you can't win, you should cheat. So I went down to my friendly neighborhood stereo dust particles store, and I got Stereo Dust Particles brand calculator bait. And you know it's good when it says right on the front of the package, gets to the square root of the problem. High probability of good results. Let's see how we actually use this. Doesn't look like it's very hard, just looks like we've got to sprinkle some of it on the floor. And just wait for the magical results to take place. All I can really say is, wow, that calculator stuff really worked. Take a look at all of these. Most of these actually belong to my father. I raided his calculator collection, and I have to wonder if he'll actually notice that I did so. So these are all the calculators I've got to check out, plus there's another one. They're multiplying. Plus, I decided to venture down to the local Dollar General store and just see what I could find in the way of calculators, because some years ago I was there and I noticed that they had a whole bunch of calculators on their shelf that when I walked up to them, and for no very good reason at all, pressed the all clear on button, almost all of them didn't work. And now, although I never really thought about it before, you know, at first I thought, oh, it's just Chinese quality at its finest. You can't expect everything for $1 after all. Maybe those calculators had fake solar cells too. But here are the 3 ring-ins from Dollar General. This is the cheapest one you can get. It costs $1. You move up in the world a little bit with this model that costs $2. And then, actually, that one actually has some metal in it. And then there's this, a so-called desktop calculator. This one's all plastic yet again, but it's bigger than both of the 2 previous models. And it costs about $3.25. Seemingly it's on sale right now. There's another calculator. So let's go ahead and just see how many of these happen to have real solar cells and how many of them do not. I don't have that handy little light switch thing that V Westlife used in his video, but I do have this, which is just about every bit as good. In fact, these things are amazing. This little USB LED light. You can buy a whole slew of these on eBay. I bought 5 of them for $1, and suffice it to say, they are absolutely incredible. You'll be amazed at how bright they are. I think they're probably driving these LEDs to within an inch of their life. But never mind that, it works. And I've had these for a couple of years now, so they actually do seem quite reliable. Of course, when you buy 5 of anything for $1, you cannot expect the world, and apparently it was too much to expect that the postman would actually make it to my mailbox with all of those lights. There were some kids playing around in the street in front of this house that actually found the package laying in the street. No one had run over it, and they brought it to me. So maybe there's a chance that not every kid in the world happens to be a hooligan. So let's see, which one should we get started with? Well, I think we should pick up right where V Westlife left off with these American flag calculators. It seems very fitting since this is the 4th of July. And the one that he found had apparently been equipped with a fake solar cell. Of course, down here in the workshop room of the basement, I don't have a whole lot of light. There's enough here for the camera to see and certainly enough to read by. Let's go ahead and see if these will turn on. I don't think that either one of them will. If they have an internal battery, it's long since depleted. Let's go ahead and get our USB light here, put it on the solar cell. Okay, that one now powers up. And if I take the light away, it shuts off. So the solar cell on that one is definitely real. Let's try this one. Solar cell definitely seems to be real on that one as well. Of course, there are several others of the same style here. This one is the only one of the bunch that has an identifiable name brand on it. I don't know who Aurora was, or maybe still is, but this is their big number dual power calculator, and I'm sure that right away you will notice there's quite a bit of design similarity between the two. These things are probably produced in thousands, or at least a couple different anonymous Chinese factories. This one doesn't do anything, so its internal battery is dead. This being a name brand unit, I would fully expect it to have a real solar cell. And sure enough, it does power right up. And if we take the light away, it shuts down. So those 3 all have real solar cells. Who's next? Let's see, here's an interesting one. This particular calculator is billed as being an EcoCalc from the Datex brand. Internationally unrenowned, I'm sure, but it makes a big deal out of the fact that it's very, very earth-friendly. Using a solar cell to power a calculator is certainly earth-friendly, but who's to say that they're telling the truth? I'm not sure how I'll open this up. I'm not going to open the brand new one. There's no screws on here, and I'd hate to destroy it. This is a slightly different model, but to be perfectly honest, I see no difference in either one of them other than the color. On the back of the package, they call out their commitment to the environment, claiming that the product has a mercury-free battery. It meets European standard requirements for various chemicals. And apparently it also allows you to take charge and shape up your finances, energy use, and wellness by joining Team Datex. Who knew that a 4-function calculator could do all that? Maybe there's a plug-in on the back of it that allows you to like run your vacuum cleaner or something. I don't want to destroy this little calculator, even though I'm sure it didn't cost much. We'll see if I can pop it open here. Sounds like I'm well on my way. I just ran my credit card around the edges of it, and by golly, there it came apart. And there is in fact a battery and a solar cell. And I would be willing to bet that the solar cell is real, but here again we'll find out. We'll take the battery out of it, and we'll just see whether or not it actually still works. They did actually run wires to this. Let's get our light over here. I'm going to say that solar cell is real. So that one seems to pass the test. Put the battery back in it. Snap it back together if I can. It would help if I would put it on there the right way. Of course, it's fairly clear that they don't intend for you to be doing too much of this, which I would say actually counts against the ecologically sound nature of that product, but those two seem to pass the test. What about this one? This one's really cool looking. It's a clear calculator. If it wasn't so scratched up and if it didn't have all this sticker residue on it, it'd be pretty darn cool. Let's get our light over here. Turn it on. It seems to work. We take the light away. It goes out. I cannot open this one without destroying it. It's been glued or perhaps even ultrasonically welded shut. That's not to say I didn't try. You can see where I started to crack the case there. There might be a battery in there, I'm not sure, but if there is, it's obviously long since depleted, so that one's real. Let's try another one of these big display 8-digit electronic calculators. Okay, if there's a battery in this one, it's certainly dead at this point. So we'll put our light on there and hit the power button, and ladies and gentlemen, I'd say it was a fake. But I think I made out just the faintest little outline of a zero when I held the light up to it. I think we're going to have to take this one apart. Just see what's going on here. Boy, this thing's held together by lots of little tiny screws. I won't make you sit through all this, I promise. Here we are just a couple of minutes later. What's really striking about this is how much rigidity the screws actually give the cabinet. This plastic is terrible. There's no strength here, and if I dare to tilt this forward, all the keys will fall out of it. I'd rather that didn't happen, but here's one for the books, folks. Take a look at the solar cell on this. I think that's a real solar cell that hasn't been hooked up or used or anything. I'm not sure if those contact pads are actually made of metal or what's going on there. But let's see if I can pop that out of there. Oh yeah, it just pops out of there. It's glass. I'm going to say this is probably the real thing. It's got a model number on it. But does it actually generate any electrical energy? I don't know. It certainly looks like it could. Maybe it's some kind of a factory reject or something. I wonder if peeling that sticky label off of it broke it. I don't know. I guess we get the multimeter out here and try to hook it up and find out if it does anything. I'm not totally sold on its being real because those contact pads, they don't look like they're made of metal. Focus. Okay, I guess focusing is on vacation today. By golly, I think that thing is generating voltage. It sure as shooting is. I'm getting nearly a volt out of it there. We'll bring the multimeter up here so you can see it. I'm sure that's not a coincidence. Putting out almost 1 volt, so it's a real solar cell that they never bothered to hook up. Huh. Well, we'll just put that back in there. I'll put that back together a little bit later. And we'll continue looking. Next in line is this Lifelong branded electronic calculator. This one's unique in that it uses a AA battery. That ought to last possibly even decades in an application like this. I wouldn't be surprised if this foreign battery of no particular merit and certainly no identifiable manufacturer, at least not in English, could be a decade old. But with it out of the picture, and I'm assuming there's no little button cell battery in here, no shenanigans like that, no power. Let's bring our light over here. And it comes up and works now. So that one passes the test. Put the little battery back in it, put it over here. A couple of name brand calculators here. Although I would expect this doesn't necessarily mean they were actually manufactured by the company whose name is on them. This is a Casio MS70L electronic calculator. You can see that it's operating very dimly there. The battery in this thing, if there is one, and there probably is likely to be dead. Since camcorder won't focus, it says rating solar cell and battery DC 1.5 volts, use battery LR44, one of them. So let's just go ahead and see. If we cover that up, it practically goes dead. So we'll put my light on there, and yeah, the display on this is awful dim, but it does seem to work. So that one's got a real solar cell. So far the average here is surprisingly in favor of solar cells. No idea who made this one, but you can be sure that somebody paid way too much for this, just because it says University of Illinois on it. I don't know about this one. It feels quite well made. Let's just see what I find when I take it apart. Assuming I can get it apart without actually breaking anything. May not be a valid assumption. There we go. Okay, well here again, that certainly looks like the real deal. Looks pretty well assembled too. It definitely lights up and works. And if we ask it to go over to the battery, it gets pretty dim. When I bring the light up close, the display gets a lot stronger. So that solar cell is definitely real. Put that one back together here in a bit. Here's the Keykeeper's calculator from when he was in school. Exactly which portion of his schooling, I don't know. This is a Victor 900. Victor is a name much more commonly associated with business-grade adding machines. At least I still think they make those. I know this is the Keykeeper's because not only did he write his name on it, but in case he forgot it was a calculator, he also wrote that on there as well. I guess that's one of the things that being bored in school will do to you. This has a nice little slide cover, and despite its diminutive stature, it feels very well made. Also happens to work just fine. But, does it have a real solar panel? That's the question we're here to answer. I would say that I think it probably does. Take the screws out. Try not to lose them. I haven't lost any yet. And it feels like this guy is probably held together by snaps, as well as those two screws. So it's credit card time yet again. Start by figuring out where to establish a beachhead from which I can launch the invasion. Oh, I heard something go crack there. I really don't want to break this little fella. It's a nice little calculator. Just get it to pop open. Yeah, it does have snaps. I just got one of them to pop. There we go. Alright. So here we see that there's a battery up here, and there's the solar panel. Looks like some interesting wiring work right there. Let's go ahead and pop the little battery out of there. This one might be a little bit dubious because it does have an off button, and a truly solar-powered calculator wouldn't need that. But the solar cell certainly does appear to be hooked up. So let's get our light here. I'd say that that may be working a little too well. If I bring the light in too close, it's almost like I overload it and all the segments light up. But if I take it away, well, maybe. It's obviously very sensitive to how much light it gets. But that one certainly appears to have a real solar panel. So we'll click it all back together. While I'm working on that, you can listen to my neighbors shooting off their illegally acquired fireworks. And here again, got a couple of name brand units. This is a Sharp 10-digit LC-Mate twin power calculator. This has a tax rate setting on it. And I'm going to take a guess that this is probably legitimately solar powered. I can't imagine any of the name brands cheating on this. Oh yeah, beyond a doubt, the display gets a lot darker when I bring the light up to it. So that one's probably real. This is another Sharp. This is a business calculator, 10-digit. This one has some special features on it as well. It allows you to specify an item's cost, what you sold it for, and to determine the margin of profit that you made. Here again, this is called out as being a twin power calculator, and the battery looks to be essentially dead at this point. So let's bring in our little light, and it comes right up and it works, and it actually seems to have a figure in the memory. I don't know if that's actually valid or if it's just noise that was in this thing's logic circuitry when last it had power. And then there's a Radioshack calculator that looks like it's never been used. This one works without a battery. See, it's lit up right now. It doesn't need any power at all to work. So we'll turn this on and it lights up. Again, I cannot imagine Radioshack having cheated on this, but who knows. This one may be another one that needs some snapping apart done. Certainly seems that it does. Again, I'd hate to break it because it's brand new. I think so far this is the best constructed calculator I've seen of anything. And that's really surprising considering it came from Radioshack. I mean, look at the quality of that circuit board. There's even a diode in place here. And for some reason there's an LED over here. I've seen this before in certain solar-powered calculators, and I don't know what it's there for. I don't know why you would need an LED. I don't know what that's for. If it indicates that the microcontroller's alive, or if it provides a safe dissipation path if the solar cell is generating too much electricity for the calculator's logic to operate safely. I can't imagine you could get much more than 1.5 volts out of one of these. But by far and away, I think this is the most neatly constructed, highest quality calculator of any that I have looked at. So I'm really glad that I didn't end up destroying it to get it open. We'll see if I can pop the little battery out of here, which just went on the floor, never to be seen again. I don't think it really liked that too well, but this definitely does have a real solar cell in it, and it seems so far, although it's not quite functioning correctly, it's trying valiantly to operate. The battery might provide for power filtering as well when the solar cell's kind of right on the verge of not working. But yeah, That solar cell definitely seems to be real, and I'm going to try to get that battery up off the floor. Let's go ahead and finish things up now with the cheapest of the three brand new calculators. Let's see, I need my scissors here. Cut the top right off of there. You'll notice right away that this is very similar to the lifelong calculator that I talked about earlier. There's an interesting notation on this package. It says, "Attention! The batteries included in this unit are non-replaceable. Do not attempt to remove the batteries." So I sure hope the solar cell is real so that you can get your dollar's worth out of this calculator. I wonder if my screwdrivers are actually slender enough to get down into these screw holes. Doesn't seem like they are. You can't expect everything for $1. Maybe I can't get this one apart and find out. And while I know it cost $1, I'm still loath to do anything violent to it. I got one of them to come out. Let's see if I can get the other one. That's two. 3. 4. So what do we get now? Here again, the screws provide a lot of the rigidity to this thing's enclosure. This is another one that all the keycaps will fall out of if you give it the chance. Take a look at how cheap that membrane, that key matrix really is. The battery actually could be replaced in this. It wouldn't be rocket science to do so, although the battery would probably cost more than the calculator. Here I will have to be very, very careful to avoid destroying it. Which may be easier said than done. I think if I bend up this tab, should be able to get the battery to slide out of there, unless of course it's been soldered in, which it hasn't. Alright, so now with the battery out of there, let's see, how are we going to get it to turn on? This is going to take, okay, the solar cell's definitely real on that one. So the cheapest of the three has an honest-to-goodness real live solar cell in it. Let's move up in the world a little bit. The one that's actually made of metal, the only one of the three that is so far. This one has the same admonition on the back of the package. It says, "Attention! The batteries included in unit are non-replaceable. Do not attempt to remove the batteries." Well, I've never been about doing what I'm told to do. So here again, we'll take this one apart. It's actually a little bit easier to take this one apart. We'll see if paying an extra $1 leads to a commensurate increase in build quality. These screws have a much finer pitch and smaller heads than the ones on the dollar calculator, but they're coming out a lot more easily. There are also a lot more of them. That's the last one of the bunch. So what do we get here? Well, the construction method between the two is almost exactly identical. The only meaningful difference I see is slightly different routing on the buttons. Looks like the model numbers are different between the two, but it would strongly suggest that these two were manufactured by the same factory. The board in this one's a little bigger, and the battery holder in this one is separate. But let's take the battery out of there. You know, again, it's non-serviceable, so don't service it. Don't put a new battery in here because that'll be like breaking the law or something. And the solar panel in this one is definitely real. So we'll try the third one of the bunch and see how it stacks up. So rounding this video out, bringing things in for a close, this is what $3.25. That extra quarter is important, mind you. Happens to get you, look at that, the battery on this one's actually user replaceable. I wonder how much similarity there is in construction between this and the better ones. But first we need to answer the question that we came here to answer. Does this calculator have a real solar cell in it or not? It might not, because it has an off button. But we'll get the USB light up here. We'll turn it on, and sure enough, it does. But I am very curious as to how this one compares to the other two in terms of build quality and design style within. So I'm going to take it apart. I kind of broke this one a little bit while I was in the process of taking it apart. Nothing that precludes my being able to use it or put it back together again. But my screwdriver is a little too wide to fit these recessed screw holes, and I pushed one of them clean through the plastic. The thing I find interesting is that all three of these calculators from Dollar General seem to have the same manufacturer and certainly a lot of the same build decisions in their design. This one, despite being the most expensive of the bunch, has by far and away the classiest internal construction. Check out the tape that is holding the circuit board in place. That's the only thing that keeps it in place. But there's the solar panel. And that pretty much rounds out this video. So my average when it came to looking through calculators to see whether or not their solar panels were real, basically 100%. Every one of them that I tried had a real solar panel in it, and it's interesting how that differed from the findings in V. Westlife's video. I'll have to sit down and figure out what the average across all of them might be, but I don't expect it to change too terribly much. As always, thank you for watching, and certainly do feel free to leave a comment if you happen to have one. That's another one of the joys of old houses. I wonder how long it'll take me to get upstairs and shoot this.